In the not-so-distant future, a catastrophic event involving biochemical weapons renders the air unbreathable. The President of the USA, in interviews, assures citizens of their top priority, but persistent rumors circulate about secret bunkers where scientists may seek refuge. As the tragedy unfolds, wiping out most of humanity, the country's crucial scientists are placed in cryogenic sleep within underground bunkers, awaiting the day when the air becomes safe again. Numerous bunkers exist, each maintained by 2 engineers who awaken for 2 hours every 6 months. In one particular facility, the responsible engineers are Bauer and Cartwright, with Bauer consistently being the first to wake. Despite feeling a bit nauseous, Bauer quickly recovers, unlike Cartwright, who grapples with nightmares due to claustrophobia every time he wakes up. Bauer teases his colleague before allowing him to exit his tank, a different model from the others. The duo then commences their maintenance tasks, which include logging in at the computer to signal to other facilities that they are alive. Cartwright is relieved to see that the other bunkers are thriving, even though communication between facilities remains impossible. Together, they also check the surface air, only to discover that it remains toxic. In their confined room, Bauer and Cartwright maintain a board adorned with pictures from their old life. Bauer humorously puts tape with the word "dead" on their friends' faces to remind them of the harsh reality beyond, a gesture that Cartwright vehemently opposes, removing the tape each time. The engineers diligently check the information on their computers, with Cartwright growing concerned over detected seismic activity and its potential impact. Despite Bauer's unease around the sleeping scientists, they agree that Cartwright will inspect them. As Bauer attends to repairs in the corridor, Cartwright seizes the opportunity to look at a hidden picture behind the board. Suddenly, he turns around upon hearing Abby. This hallucination of the woman he loves becomes a regular occurrence during his solitary moments. After stowing the picture, Cartwright goes to check on the sleepers, revealing that Abby is among the scientists. Her hallucination materializes next to her tank as Cartwright runs diagnostics. Abby insists that Cartwright should inform Bauer about her presence, but he opts to wait for the right time. Bauer joins Cartwright, expressing discontent about the sleepers, considering it a waste of resources to babysit a guy with knowledge about reptiles. In contrast, Cartwright views the scientists as the future of humanity and calculates that they'll be sleeping for 20 more shifts. Once their duties are fulfilled, Bauer and Cartwright utilize their remaining minutes to watch old TV recordings, engage in chess matches, and even indulge in quirky bathroom rendezvous like Bauer's date with Manuela. During this time, Abby visits Cartwright, expressing anticipation for their moments together when he falls asleep. Despite his reservations, Cartwright is nervous about entering the tank due to his persistent claustrophobia. As Abby attempts to comfort him, Cartwright sees flames engulfing her body, realizing his tank is on fire. He urgently calls for Bauer, who swiftly emerges from the bathroom armed with an extinguisher. While they successfully quell the flames, the sleeping pod is irreparably damaged, and Bauer sustains an injury to his hand. To compound the situation, the 2 hours elapse, plunging the room into darkness as the air supply is cut off. Guided by torchlights and the dwindling air in the room, the engineers consult the manual, discovering an emergency override. They ascend the stairs, locating the correct chamber to activate the emergency air supply valve. Afterward, they return to the office, awaiting the arrival of backup air. As they wait for the backup air, Bauer and Cartwright open up about their lives. Bauer confesses that he once had a wife and 3 daughters, but the job required him to lie due to special requirements. He recounts the heart-wrenching moment when the government sealed him in the bunker, leaving his family outside to perish under false promises. Cartwright, empathetic despite lacking a family of his own, expresses understanding. Suddenly, power is restored, and the air supply returns, granting them an additional 2 hours. Determined to find a spare pod, the engineers search the storeroom, only to come up empty-handed despite the manual's assurance of spares. Cartwright, suspecting another storeroom exists, consults the bunker blueprint, discovering a room labeled long-term storage, typically sealed off. Convinced this is the key, they break the seal and explore an unfamiliar corridor. At the end of the corridor, they discover a door leading to a locker room. Cartwright finds a broken security camera, puzzling since their system is not connected to this room. Bauer explains that it's likely a remnant from the facility's time as a military installation. Delving deeper into the unknown, Cartwright encounters Abby once more, who guides him to the box containing the spare pod. The engineers promptly address the issue with Cartwright's tank, but he hesitates to enter due to lingering fear. In a selfless gesture, Bauer volunteers to test the pod first. However, as he lies down, he detects a leak, and the air within begins to thin. Cartwright rushes to inspect the pump, but the chamber unexpectedly sucks Bauer in, leaving him suffocating until he ceases to struggle. When Cartwright finally arrives to free Bauer, a furious reaction ensues. Bauer, believing Cartwright intentionally endangered him, pushes him away. Cartwright, explaining his delayed arrival due to the struggle to find a knife, emphasizes that it should have been him inside the pod. Convinced it was an accident, Bauer, recognizing the destroyed state of Cartwright's pod, resolves that they must sacrifice one of the sleepers to use their tank instead. Cartwright argues against this, emphasizing their duty to care for the sleepers, but Bauer shifts the perspective to the harsh reality of survival. As Cartwright prepares a morphine injection for euthanization, Abby appears, pleading with him not to proceed and suggesting a simpler solution. Capitalizing on this, Cartwright declares his refusal to commit murder, sparking a heated debate with Bauer, who insists that it's a matter of survival. Tensions rise as Bauer resorts to physical aggression, prompting Cartwright to push him away and wield the injection as a threat. In a plea for Bauer to consider the alternative, Cartwright manages to sway his friend, and they reluctantly decide to explore other facilities for spare parts. Returning to the office, Cartwright, with guidance from Abby's hint, deciphers that the mysterious codes on the blueprint correspond to other bunker facilities. Despite Bauer's reservations about potential air leaks between facilities, Cartwright is willing to take the risk. Equipping himself with a hazmat suit and a radio for communication, Cartwright plans to explore neighboring facilities while Bauer monitors him through security cameras. With only half an hour remaining, Bauer focuses on fixing monitors in the office while Cartwright delves deeper into the dark tunnels. As Cartwright traverses the tunnels, he encounters unsettling scenes, including the skeletal remains of a former soldier. The air is thick with floating blue dust from the airborne contaminant. Bauer, diligently watching the security cameras, labels the fixed monitors as Cartwright progresses. Eventually, Cartwright discovers a door with a sign confirming that this is the ABC facility. Struggling with a jammed lock, Cartwright enters the ABC facility, only to be met with a disheartening revelation. Nothing within is operational. Unable to open the next door, he begins to feel a sense of hopelessness. In this moment of despair, Abby appears, urging him not to give up. Bauer, however, offers a potential solution. Cartwright can access the ABC facility by crawling through the air duct. Despite the immediate onset of claustrophobia, Cartwright suppresses his fears for the sake of survival. As he navigates through the duct, Cartwright is horrified to discover numerous bodies, forced to crawl over them in his quest to go deeper. However, as Cartwright progresses, Bauer loses contact with him, prompting him to use tools to enhance the signal. Yet, when reaching for his toolbox, Bauer makes a shocking discovery. His knife, supposedly missing, has been there all along. Suspecting a deception, he checks the security footage and is devastated to learn that Cartwright stood idly next to the tank while he suffocated. In the meantime, Cartwright successfully navigates his way to the ABC facility, and his radio reconnects. Surveying the scene, he discovers the facility in ruins, devoid of survivors. A hole in the ceiling reveals a desolate planet, ravaged by nuclear weapons long ago. As he checks the sleepers' chambers, he is disheartened to find them destroyed. The realization hits hard. The computer's display of thriving facilities was a deceit to preserve the engineers' sanity, fostering the belief that they were not alone. In response, Bauer, feeling betrayed, reattaches the dead tape to the board, signifying the harsh reality. Amid continued exploration, Cartwright concludes that his facility is the lone survivor. Abby reassures him that he isn't truly alone, but a sudden realization dawns on Cartwright: he is running low on air. Hastening back to his facility, he races through the last corridor and undergoes the decontamination process. On the other side, Bauer confronts him, holding up his knife and exposing Cartwright's lie. Cartwright pleads for a chance to explain, but Bauer, armed with a gun from a deceased soldier, deems him a threat to both himself and the sleepers, proclaiming that Cartwright must die. In a state of desperation and fear, Cartwright rushes back into the ABC facility, gasping for air and struggling to run. Abby appears, guiding him to an alternate path through the air duct. As Cartwright inches forward, Bauer berates him through the radio, expressing the pain of betrayal and warning of impending death if he doesn't return. Ignoring the accusations, Cartwright presses on until he discovers a route leading back to his facility. There, he hastily sheds his suit, allowing himself to breathe freely. Attempting to return to the office, he is unexpectedly discovered by Bauer, who opens fire. Fortunately, the shot misses in the darkness, and Cartwright seeks refuge behind a door. Bauer, consumed by fear that Cartwright might betray him in his sleep, relentlessly pursues him, disregarding pleas and reminders of their status as the last survivors. Using his radio to create noise, Bauer attempts to locate Cartwright through his communicator. However, Cartwright outsmarts him by leaving his flashlight and radio behind, leading Bauer astray. Seizing the opportunity, Cartwright locks the door behind him and heads to the infirmary for morphine. Faced with the dilemma of potentially killing a dear friend, Cartwright grapples with his decision. Abby, however, convinces him that taking action is crucial, as Bauer poses a threat and jeopardizes their shared future. Prepared with the injection, Cartwright steps out and is shocked to find that Bauer has successfully opened the door and entered the room. Attempting to move discreetly, Cartwright is caught off guard as a shot pierces his shoulder. Bauer, tormented by the act of killing a man he considered family, approaches, and Cartwright, in his suffering, endeavors to explain that his actions were meant to protect his beloved. In a poignant moment, he hands Bauer a secret picture. Seeking solace in talking to Abby, Cartwright's actions irk Bauer, who interprets them as signs of madness. Seizing the distraction, Cartwright lunges at Bauer, causing him to drop the gun. However, Cartwright fails to land a decisive blow and escapes into the sleeper chamber. Bauer, recovering his gun, discovers the fallen picture on the floor. Something about it triggers familiarity, prompting him to hasten to the sleepers. There, he uncovers the truth that Cartwright has been concealing more than he initially thought. Abby, it turns out, is Cartwright's wife, and this revelation unveils the real reason behind Cartwright's fervent commitment to caring for the sleepers. Furious and desperate, Bauer resorts to threatening Abby's life to coerce Cartwright into revealing himself. However, Cartwright, surprising Bauer from behind, administers a shot of morphine to his shoulder. Bauer attempts to retaliate by shooting Cartwright, but the effects of the morphine quickly take hold, causing Bauer to crumple to the floor in agony. Cartwright, torn between helping his friend and the dwindling time, is reminded by Bauer that he should go into cryo-sleep to continue caring for his loved one. Returning to the office, Cartwright utilizes Bauer's chamber to enter sleep mode just as the clock reaches 0. As he slips into unconsciousness, Cartwright witnesses an illusion of Bauer engaged in a game of chess. Many years later, the sleepers emerge from their cryo-sleep, awakening to a changed world. Abby, searching for Cartwright, discovers that he has aged into an old man. Despite the passage of time, she embraces him warmly.